Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about your ideal client or your customer. And we did a little bit of this work if you think back to your seaside. Remember seaside? By the seashore. We did talk about your seaside. We really need to get a little bit more clear in this video though, because this is where the rubber hits the road. You have just decided what is the value that you are creating, what is your product or service offering in terms of what it is that you're bringing. This is not your offer in terms of how you're packaging it or pricing it or anything like that. This is just what you bring to the world. And so now we need to think about who needs it. And it goes deeper than just everybody can use your service. You know, if you are a dog groomer, everybody can use my service. Well, that's not necessarily true because somebody who lives across the country can't use your services if you are selling dog grooming in person, right? Or if you think about selling dog grooming and you prefer small dogs, you aren't necessarily going to want, a Newfoundland dog coming through your doors, right? The biggest dog there is, almost a bear. So it's very important for you to know really who you want your clients to be. This is often called niching down. When you think of your business brilliance, it's how can you get more specific in who you help? Because it isn't necessarily who you help only. It's really rooted so deeply in the problem that you solve, right? So there's two pieces to this. One, what is the problem that you solve? And who's willing to pay for that? Because there are many people who are willing to tolerate a problem because they don't want to pay for it to be solved, or they don't want to do the work to solve the problem, or they don't want to invest to solve the problem. So they will tolerate it. You don't want those people, right? You don't want to be building a business on the back of the people that don't want to pay you. You want to build a business on the back of the people who say, I am ready and willing to invest time, money, and energy into this solution. And I believe you have the solution that I need because I understand the value that you are creating for me, because you're speaking my language, you're telling me about my problems, and you're telling me you know how to solve them, right? So you can see how niching becomes so important if you just say, I really think I can solve your clothes problem. If you walk into your closet in the morning and you don't know what to wear, I can solve that. Well, maybe you can, but I can also think as a client or as a prospective client, oh, she doesn't mean me. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like she must mean people who are professionals out in the world. Or there might be a man who thinks, oh, she's definitely talking to women because, women can try on 50 things a day and not know what to wear. It's definitely not talking to me. Or a professional woman might think, oh, she's not talking to me because she might think I know what I wear every day. I have to wear a suit to work. So people can exclude themselves from you because they're making assumptions, because your statement is very broad. So when you know what problem you solve, and you can identify who is willing to pay for that problem, then you can get very clear on your ideal client. So traditional customer mapping was to sort people by demographics, age, geographic location, how much money they made, how many children they have, all of those types of things. What is their gender? What is their education level? All of those things. Maybe that works for you. But you know what? You might need a different strategy. And so in this customer-facing exercise, we are going to get very intimately connected to our ideal client. And this is where it gets a little tricky, because if traditional demographics works for your business, say for example, you make, I think I used this example in the Business Brilliance course, you make tops for women who are breastfeeding. That is a very specific market, right? There are not going to be a lot of people that buy those clothes unless they either need those clothes or they know somebody who needs those clothes, right? So in that case, you definitely want women of a certain age, with a certain fashion style who are breastfeeding. That is a niche in and of itself. But if you sell something that is a little bit more generic, like, like an armband for your phone to go in when you go running, right? There are a lot of people who could go running. You could have children who wear this when they go out to play with their friends, or they're running with their family, with their dog, out with their brother who's on a bike and they've got to keep up and they don't want to lose the phone because that's their emergency contact for the family. It might be a young person. It might be a middle-aged person. It might be a senior citizen. It might be someone who actually keeps forgetting their phone everywhere. And so when they go out for hikes and things, they'll put their phone in their armband, right? So what you're looking for then are people who are active and who have phones, but it really crosses many demographics. So when you're thinking of your product or service, I want you to get very clear on who needs it. Who needs it badly? Because if you're selling something like, say we're using this armband and people's phones are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the era of the phablet, and people all have iPads and Samsung tablets and all of this stuff, and people don't have little phones, well, they can't strap that to their shoulder anymore, right? So you might have a great idea for this armband that sits a phone, but if people's phones don't fit, or they're too clunky, or they're too heavy, and then their arm starts drooping, then that might not be an ideal product. So you can decide, okay, wait a minute, I need to do something different, because what I'm creating actually doesn't have a market that is willing to pay for this problem to be solved, right? So you want to know this person very well. You want to know their pain, right? If nobody ever complains that they do not have a place to put their phone when they go running, that may be an untapped market, but chances are that's not a problem people are willing to invest in, right? Now, there are cases where you have products and people didn't even know they needed it until it was there, and they thought, oh my gosh, how have I lived without this my whole life? That happens often with tools, these funky little tools that you see on late night shopping channels, and sometimes Amazon puts it up on, on their wish list at holidays, some kind of cherry pitter or strawberry pincher or garlic crusher, and this, these little gadgety things, and you think, oh my gosh, that will save me so much. I can't believe I didn't know about this. But chances are there are not many opportunities to create a brand new market space, right? Chances are you are going to be creating something that already has an industry, right? You already have people who are willing to pay for it, but you have got to be honest. If their pain is not big enough and burdensome enough, and they will not pay you for a solution, you are really going to be having an uphill battle in your business, because you are going to have a hard time finding people who want to buy your solution. And your business is about economic value. People need to invest in buying your solution, right? Because you need to grow your business. You need to have advertising, you have overhead, you have production costs, even if you're a service provider, right? So you need to be making money. You need to be selling your services or your products. Let's make sure you are creating something and investing your time and energy in something that people will buy, right? That is 101. And the last question I want you to think about is, when you look at all the people who struggle with this, right? Think about the remote control from the last videos, from the Business Brilliance course. The remote control that somebody had created for children because their little fingers were not navigating the buttons very easily. They were able to decide that they were going to open themselves up to other options. They're like, we are going to see what else is out there. Who else can use this? What do my audience members who need this product have in common, right? And one of the solutions was to target senior citizen facilities and hospitals where older people go, or people with dexterity issues, or who didn't have full control of all of their fingers the way a younger person might. And they were able to sell thousands of units of their remote control because they realized, wait a minute here, the struggle has showed us that many people have it, right? It's not that we only went after children. When we looked at it from the other side and thought, who else struggles with this, right? Who else is burdened by this? Then we were able to find a brand new space for us to sell our product and really solve problems, because people want to watch television, or they want to change a channel, or they want to dim their lights, and they don't have the dexterity or the mobility to do all that. But with bigger numbers, they were able to just push it with their palm, right? So think about, what are the things in common that everybody who struggles with your problem struggles with? And look at it from that angle and see if that opens up your eyes to other places that you might be able to target, other audiences you might be able to welcome in, other places you might be able to advertise and test if they're interested in this, if this is a problem they want to solve. Any of those things are possible when you open up and step back. Remember, when you're creating this little guy, and you're doing this product or this service right here, that's spotlighting, right? That's focusing so much on this piece that you miss all of this. So it's important in your CEO time to step back and say, who are we serving? How are we serving them? Are we serving them something that they want to pay for? And who else can benefit from this solution, right? There might be many untapped markets you hadn't even considered. When you're spotlighting, you'll never see them. It's only when you step back and look around and say, oh, wait a minute, I have options to expand my audience. I have opportunities to reach more people and grow who my clients are, right? So there is one exercise where you get down to like the micro client, one client, what's her name? What's his occupation? Where does he live? Where does she shop? That's fine. You can totally do that if that fits your marketplace. That doesn't fit everybody to know one person and speak that one person's language and those one phrases or those one words that one particular person will capture. Sometimes you're talking about the pain, and that could go across many demographic categories. So do what's right for your business always, and do what's right for your business brilliance always. And continue working on your client list. All of the things you know about the people who are willing to pay for your solution. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.